It's like I could drive up on his calves and he'll fall backwards and completely flatten the fuck out of my car.
What killed the dinosaurs? A gaggle of fat men.
Welcome to the Beacon House Podcast, recorded live in Knoxville, Tennessee.
You know, I really don't like overconfident fat people.
Well, I guess I'll leave.
That's me too. Listen, okay.
No, it's okay, dude. I'll just go.
Pulling a car out of the parking garage.
Bring me the laptop when you're done.
Coming to be here at the podcast, I'm leaving the parking garage, and there's this two really big dudes walking down the road of the parking garage.
Now, let's clarify real quick for our audience. When you say
morbidly obese.
Okay, let's go.
Like 300 pounds.
Okay, big boys.
Like quad XL shirts.
Got it.
Real big.
Big dudes.
Real big. But they're both walking slow down the middle of the garage. People coming up, people coming down. Both have to go at a snail's pace, and they don't move. And by the time I get to turn and they're like getting on the elevator, I like had my window rolled down to say some shit, and all I could hear them saying was, "Fuck them, man. Fuck them. They have to wait for me." They have to wait for me, and it's like, well, yeah. Well, how about you get on your fucking go round and pick the pace up a little bit there, Scooter? Jesus Christ, I got somewhere to be.
Is there a chance that they didn't have any? I mean, you said they were really big. Is there a chance that they had no choice but to just walk?
They could easily walk in a single file line. They were walking in a fucking gaggle. A gaggle of fat guys. And it's okay. I can fat shame fat guys because that doesn't matter. Men's feelings don't matter.
Did anything weird or tragic happen when they got on the elevator? I'm just asking. I
have no idea.
Spencer.
I don't know.
I went to turn my car.
Couldn't lift them?
Fuck, I don't know what they look like.
That's exactly what you're implying.
In my mind.
They went down the stairs. They knew they couldn't. Anyway, so I rolled down the window because I was going to say some shit. And as I'm like going around, they both like cock eye me, like side eye me, and they're just like, "I don't give a shit."
Yeah, I'm walking.
Fuck them, man. I'm walking here.
Are you sure though, when they cockeyed you, that it wasn't like their trouser snake looked at you like a hungry cobra?
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
There's always a dick joke with Hunter.
I knew it was coming.
Why not?
Well, here's the thing too.
You are what you eat.
It annoys me when.
Well done. Well done. I'm so fucking proud of you for that.
I'm going to let that one marinate for a minute.
No, you don't need to. If you're going to eat steak, you got to do it raw.
I'll take your word for it. Advice from the master.
Lap that shit up.
It annoys me when anybody does that. When anybody fucking just walks rudely, right? Like they don't, like even at the grocery store, somebody just like won't get over to the side. Like, but most people, you know, people who, I feel like people that walk with respect probably do so out of fear of being run over by a car.
Well, you don't have to be fearful of running over whenever, if you get hit, you total the car.
I saw it coming.
It's like it's like I could drive up on his calves and he'll fall backwards and completely flatten the fuck out of my car.
What killed the dinosaurs? A gaggle of fat men.
Don't hit it; it'll break the transmission. Wait for it to get out of the way.
You know, and I'm sure
vision is based on movement.
You're gonna get lit up for this.
I'm gonna get lit up for fat shaming, and that's fine because I'm fat and I can do it.
Hey, Kate, for the record, Casey's not saying it's wrong to be fat.
No.
Casey's saying it's wrong to be
overly confident about your fatness
and to be an asshole, no matter what you look like. And I agree with that too. Fuck those guys.
I think if you can take it, you can dish it. Let's be honest, it's fine.
We all know you can take it.
Damn it.
Stop setting them up so easy. It's like T-ball today.
Well, now that we've gotten that out of the way, welcome to the Beacon House Podcast, everybody. How's it going?
We just now started.
Oh, yeah,
just now started.
Well, I'm one of your hosts, Batman. Hunter.
No one cares. No one.
Everyone cares.
Just
let's
Casey,
talk about the Snyder Cut.
You said you had something pretty dark, so why don't we let Hunter get his Batman.
Yeah, talk about Snyder Cut.
No, we can. I just want to say justice is served. Justice League, the way we were supposed to get it, is coming out. Zack Snyder is going to do it right. We're getting Affleck back. We're getting Man of Steel 2 potentially with Henry Cavill. These are all in rumor stage. Your DC Entertainment News reporter will report back when there are actual facts in a couple weeks. What's your dark topic?
I'm just gonna go in and point out everything you just said is basically the last month of this podcast talking about coronavirus. It's all rumors.
Yeah.
None of it's been proven just yet.
Hunter, what is if things,
yet we're all terrified about it.
Hunter, let me ask you.
That's the other part that's consistent.
If things were to turn out exactly the way you want, what would it look like?
He releases his original version of Justice League with new tweaks because there's been enough time as a miniseries that is then grouped into Blu-ray for those of us that care and want to own it. And because Warner Brothers has actively stated and is proving that they're doing so, that they're going to do multiple continuities at a time, they can do whatever they want with our Pats, which I think will be amazing, and more Joker stuff and all that shit. But over here on the side, we get Man of Steel 2 with Henry Cavill. We get Ben Affleck's Batman movie that he wrote. Just one. We don't need a trilogy. Just one Batman movie with him. And Justice League 2 or 3, depending on what Zack Snyder originally planned.
I thought Ben Affleck officially retired from Batman completely.
He was forced out. There's a lot, but it's an entire podcast and a half worth of shit.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Ben Affleck that much.
Yeah, I figured. You guys can Google it. There's a lot of wishy-washy, like the way that he was. Ben Affleck's a company man for Warner Brothers, so if you will like watch interviews or anything, it's a rabbit hole where you can see at first that he's stressed, and then he's fine, and everything's fine, and then everything is fine, but he's no longer involved, but he's okay with it, and then he's not okay with it, but he had other reasons to not be okay with it. It's not Warner Brothers' fault, and then actually it is Warner Brothers' fault, but we're okay now, and it's just this weird, no one's actually saying what happened thing. The stuff that I know, you guys will have to do your own research, listeners, if you care to. The stuff that I know is Jeff Johns got brought in from DC Comics to produce. He got the twinkle in his eye of an idea that Joss Whedon would be the great guy to course correct DC, even though DC was only making money back then. And the result of that was they used Zack Snyder's personal tragedy, which was a child that commit suicide, as a way to gently force him out when Zack Snyder, to be fair, said that he was struggling with continuing the movie, so he was going to delay it. They were like, okay, you go, we'll replace you. First movie they made that lost money was that one. Fast forward, they're trying to course correct. They're trying to do... Warner Brothers is a mess. We all know that. You can see their DC output is just all over the place.
I really want them to do Flashpoint Paradox. That way they can kick Batman. They could still have Batfleck for the miniseries, but do the Flashpoint Paradox, which takes Batfleck out, puts Pattinson in. Mm-hmm. Maybe Cavill can still stay as Superman. You can still have certain people take Ezra Miller out because nobody wants him playing the Flash anymore. Put somebody else in.
So, to that point, there's a YouTuber, Grace Randolph, who's been following all this from day one because starting...
Is Ezra Miller going to be in the Justice League? He'll
have to be, yeah.
But even after he chokeslammed that bitch?
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do about that, but he has to be. Yeah. But Grace Randolph...
You can't choke people like that on camera.
Grace Randolph is a movie critic on YouTube, has been for a long time. She's been following this stuff. She was a big fan of BVS and Man of Steel and all that. So, point being, she's reported on all this rumor stuff for a long time and has gotten a lot of shit for it, and it's all turned out to be true thus far. I think what you're saying, Casey, sounds interesting and awesome. I'd love to see that, even
they already teased it with Batman vs. Superman.
Yeah.
Wait a second. You said she was a huge fan of Batman vs. Superman? Mm-hmm. So is there somebody else besides you?
Yeah.
I didn't hate the movie.
There's also $900 million worth of people that liked it.
So, but you watch Batman vs. Superman, right?
Yep.
Do you remember the scene where Bruce Wayne, Ben Affleck, is sleeping at the computer and he wakes up and the Flash is like in this portal and he says something?
I'm too soon. She's the key.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't remember it.
And then he disappears. That's Flashpoint Paradox, where the Flash becomes so fast that he is faster than time and goes back into different parallel universes. Mm-hmm. And he goes to a universe where Bruce Wayne is actually murdered and his parents become Batman and the Joker. Like his mom becomes the Joker and his dad becomes Batman.
Ooh, that's pretty...
There's like
a Punisher Batman.
Interesting.
Yeah, and there's like all this different stuff.
You'd love it.
They could easily do like some sort of paradox like that in the miniseries to correct course for DC in the cinematic universe.
Well,
I'm
a big fan of some of the TV series, and I know they're cheesy, but I'm a huge fan of Supergirl, and Flash is constantly in and out of that show, and they do a lot of time paradox stuff.
Yeah,
where they go back and forth, and they go to all these alternate realities where different people are like there's one where Superman's actually bad and blah 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 blah, and then, so I've seen a lot of those. I never really watched the Flash. I like the guy that plays the character. He's he's a past.
A lot of people are trying to get him in the Justice League as the Flash.
I like
also
him.
fine with that. Also fine with that. Yeah.
And those are all like ex-Glee people too. And I was a huge fan of Glee, and they were all like the girl that plays Supergirl and the guy that plays Flash. They were all Glee characters, so they can sing, they can dance. They're like mega talented. They have tons of good guest stars. I just dig it. I love so. I'm not crazy about the DC movies that have been out recently, but a couple of those TV shows, I'm a big fan of.
Yeah.
Well, in lieu of my dream,
Particularly Supergirl. Supergirl is one of my favorites. It's just a feel-good show. It's not too deep, a little cheesy, terrible villains, but real strong character performances.
In lieu of the thing that I would want, second to that is a mix. Because, again, Casey's idea is great. I love that. I think the biggest thing, which Grace, the reason I brought her up, I forgot about this. She mentioned this in her most recent video talking about the Snyder Cut. She said the biggest problem with DC moving on, and the reason there's been so much trouble, is not denying that the films have been divisive at all. But those of us that love them are fine with all the new stuff they're doing. We just feel like we were cheated because we didn't. That was a single story that was going somewhere, and they took it from us. And she's like, if they would just put the little bit of money it would take into finishing that and then move forward, we would have our little corner that we loved, and there'd be no like animosity going into the new stuff. You could just be a fan and not feel like you were being robbed constantly. So I think that's the thing. They could do that. Get their Justice League 2. Again, give Ben his one Batman movie. I'd love more, obviously, but I think realistically, one is fine. And then after that, do a Flash movie, preferably with Grant Gustin. I love him as the Flash, instead of Ezra Miller.
You really can't have Ezra Miller in any movies right now.
No.
He is not doing hot.
But let that be the Flashpoint, and then do exactly what Casey said. Take the stuff that you liked, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, all that. Take our Pats, because that's where you're going now, and just combine all of it. There's nothing wrong with that. You can have both of those.
Now, let me ask you this, because some people don't like Jason Momoa's Aquaman. Name another Aquaman. Name someone that could do Aquaman.
I think the answer to that would be I also
Jason
don't.
Momoa.
I also don't like Jason Momoa's Aquaman.
Really?
No,
Two surfer dude for you? Is that what it is?
no,
Like his
it's,
attitude?
Not so much, because I actually kind of like Jason Momoa. I don't like the portrayal of Aquaman as that. He looks like a Chippendale. I remember Aquaman being kind of like, I don't know, more of like a sinewy, quirky character. I could see somebody like who's the guy that plays Deadpool?
Ryan Reynolds.
I could see him playing an Aquaman that's very much not this big shirtless boy whore. I could see like an Aquaman like that. That's like Aquaman is supposed to wear like orange pajamas with.
I'm seeing that is
Part of the problem, though.
old school
Sure.
Aquaman. New 52 is all about big beard, long hair.
I get it, and
murdering left
Yeah.
and right. Like
I
they
feel-
tried to make Aquaman not as
as goofy.
Yeah.
I get it, and I just don't think it works. I can see why they did it. I just think they swung and it was a swing and a miss.
Yeah.
A lot of the other stuff, I think, like the Pattinson Batman is now going back. It's becoming vintage. They're realizing, wait a second, the original material was good. Yeah, it's dated and it was dorky, but it had something. Something about it made people want to perk up and look. And the further they get away from that, I think they just fall on their face over and over again. So, and again, some of those, like if you look at Superman hasn't deviated that much as far as his like image and stuff.
Yeah.
I still think Henry Cavill's perfect as
I like
Superman.
Henry Cavill. Yeah, he was good at it. The movie wasn't great, but I like him. But he's not that much different from Christopher Reeve. Like Superman hasn't really changed that much.
Yeah.
He's still this big, square-jawed, all-American kind of, you know what I mean? I just don't. I feel like it works, and it works repeatedly. They just got to do it right.
That's just the way that the comics you read, though,
Sure.
because I mostly identify with the original still, because
Right.
I was into a lot of the old.
And I was never into it.
Up.
I just vaguely remember
But
Aquaman being like the orange guy that went in the water.
They did
you
that
know?
transition as I was growing up, though, so I'm far more used to it.
So if you've read comics where Aquaman is a long-haired, bearded, shirtless, fucking,
he's got a cool like
wearing assless chaps and
magic, like a magic ice water hook hand thing.
I see. Oh, I can see that being kind of cool. And he's got that octopus that plays drums.
Oh, good Lord.
Sorry to bring that up, but that was in the movie.
That's fine.
Just so you know.
I think
In case you're trying to legitimize that movie at all, that was in the movie.
I think that's fine. That's what you're saying, though. I think that's good. That it's silly, but it's okay to be silly. Like,
Well, I'd like to point out, I think Pattinson's going to slay
I do too.
As
Agreed.
Batman.
I do
and
too.
I think Paul Dano is a perfect choice for Riddler.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've found a better choice for Aquaman if they decide to do such.
Lay it on me.
Charlie Hunnam.
No, I can see
Actually,
it.
no,
I can
yeah,
see
he'd be
it.
a very traditional Aquaman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blonde hair. They'd have to give him. I think he could do it.
The problem with that is that
He's not as boy hoary as you say.
you'd be quote unquote whitewashing the character at this point.
I shouldn't have said that about
Well,
Momoa. Like,
quote unquote.
You watch Game of Thrones. Never mind.
I loved him in Game of Thrones,
I
but
mean, he handled it.
but he like
Man Crush Monday. Am I right?
Conan the Barbarian 2011. Anybody?
that's the only way that I can buy him is in like real dark, serious roles. I totally could see a new Conan with him in it.
No, they did that
He did play Conan the
in
Barbarian.
2011. It was awful.
Oh,
He was amazing. It was awful.
fuck. Well, shit. I could totally. Well, crap. So much for that.
I'll loan it to you. It'll put you to sleep real quick.
No, I'm good. I'm good. The fucking.
You know what his Conan movie did that was more blasphemous than anything else? It was nothing but
Was it
sword fights with
elephants?
monsters, and it was fucking boring.
Was it elephants?
See, that's kind of how I feel about The Witcher, though.
You shut your mouth.
Some of the fight scenes in The Witcher
You know,
were so bad.
I'd actually forgotten about this until I listened back to the Ritual episode, but this could be a very good Get Out moment
What?
What?
where you tell Spencer to get out.
No.
Shit.
It would have been better if you didn't have to explain it.
Hey, Hunter, get out.
Damn it. I knew it. I knew it.
Say hi to the coronavirus out there.
Wait, the thing about the thing about The Witcher that I think people don't understand is most sword fights in movies and TV shows is stunt doubles and very fast paced. But The Witcher director and story, like the writers and the actors, all wanted it to be more realistic. What realistic sword fighting would be.
Yeah.
Of course, it's dramatized a
Sure.
touch, especially that first fight scene that he has in the first episode
In
the
the
village.
swamp.
Or no, I'm talking about in the village where he murders
Yeah.
all those people.
I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't have a problem with the sword fighting, just like the monsters.
The telekinesis.
And to be fair, my opinions on Aquaman, before we move away from this, like, I probably wouldn't go see an Aquaman movie
Anyway.
no matter what he looked like. It's just, there's nothing about him. His character excites me. I'm like, I'd much rather watch The Submariner, but whatever.
You fucking Marvel whore. You whore.
I mean-
you Marvel slut. You Marvelite.
I'm just comparing apples
How many
and
more
oranges.
Marvel slurs do you have?
Only one. When you jizz, does it stick to the wall for like 24 hours and you can capture criminals in it?
Ask your mom.
Only Casey.
Take that, you bitch!
I have only all day today been walking into setups that I give you guys.
It's like fucking T-ball for you. This is great. I
When
love
I pull
it.
my pants down, Spider-Man comes out and he takes a Batman versus Superman DVD and breaks it in half.
That's okay. I've got it on Blu-ray and digital.
I believe you. I believe you. I have no reason to doubt that. Okay. Anyway, do we have anything else to talk about before we move?
Yeah, something.
I'm ready for Casey's dark topic.
Okay. I'd like Batman to be not so dark for once.
You mean the next one, the Pattinson
Yeah,
one?
no, they're doing darker. They said just
more
to
detective.
segue out of it. Yeah, and that's fine. And he's a dark character, but like I've also gotten to the point where like Batman going dark was a thing to be new in 2005 for the movies.
Oh.
And as much as I love Ben Affleck stuff as the character, it's super dark and it's kind of hard to watch because there's not much fun in it.
Well, just like when Batman started talking like this all the time.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
But if they're doing that with Arpat still, like I just want them to get to a point where they're like, it's okay for him to smile and
Well,
want to help people.
and
Hunter wants Batman to be Paul Rubin.
when I say...
I'm going to stop you, Joker.
Only the Joker's played by Ryan Seacrest.
Oh, God.
wow. Let's all try
No
to
makeup
forget...
needed.
Let's all try to forget that image.
Anybody have $500 can make that movie?
Jesus. Oh, God, that's bad. Well, like... I got nothing. I think when I say, I want it to be dark, I don't necessarily want it to... Like, I'm not talking about I want it to turn into like a horror movie, and I want it to turn gorier and there to be more murder and more like, I don't want to necessarily see a Batman that's like a Tarantino movie or
Sure.
something. I think I just want to see it like...
It would be.
I think I just want it to have a feel. I feel like the Robert Pattinson is going to have a feel to it.
We'll see. Here's the best short example I can think of is Libby and I talked about this the other day, the like dark versus light Batman. The thing that they've been doing with Batman that I'm afraid they're going to do with Arpats is the psychopathic dude that is going to cripple people yada yada, all that stuff, and just all he does is torture people because he's tortured. And the thing that I loved about Batman as a kid that still makes me care about the character is the idea that he is a guy that is capable of doing all of that. But in a certain story, there's a superpowered girl that's like a nuclear bomb, and he lies to the people in charge of destroying her, saying that he'll kill her because it's for the greater good. And he goes and sits down on a swing set with her and says that he's not there to hurt her. He just didn't want her to be alone at the end. And she said, "Thank you. Will you hold my hand?" And he holds her hand until she dies. Because Batman is capable of doing all those horrible things, but he's actually got a good heart. And we've not gotten that for a long time.
That sounds like some shit you'd fall for.
Why do you like Batfleck so much?
You bastard.
Why do you like Batfleck so much? He's murdered more people.
Because of the implied story.
That sounds really sweet.
That's because they started at the end, because of the implied story. His Batman is that, but we only got to see after he lost his mind with fear post 9/11, 9/11 being Superman and Zod.
Okay.
It's my favorite comic book movie. I'm sorry. It's just, I've absorbed
no
it.
judgment. No judgment at all.
You guys ever have thoughts that the moment you have it, you go, man, if I had a therapist, they'd be concerned about me?
Yeah, my love for BVS is one of them.
I was shower thought the other day. I had one of those thoughts where I went, I think it'd be interesting to have a Christmas Carol situation happen to me.
Elaborate.
I think it'd be interesting for quote unquote 3 ghosts to visit me and show me what life would be like without me. And I don't mean that in a negative. I guess it sounds negative. It sounds dark, but really it's just like, I just kind of want to know what it'd be like.
Well, first off, that's a fabulous story idea. And I've said, shout out if you're listening, Travis Stevens, you know that I fucking hate Great Expectations. I think it's the worst book ever written by Dickens, but I'm
more than War and Peace?
Far more.
God.
But I am a huge sucker for Christmas Carol and just that premise of being visited and like finding out, getting the that huge dramatic lesson about grass isn't always greener. Mm-hmm. You know, it's kind of that sort of a thing. Like, I don't know. I think it's a brilliant concept. Let's ask this. What do you think it would be like? What do you think your Ghost of Christmas Past or whatever? What was the scary one? Christmas Future? That was the scary. That was like the skeleton.
The future was the Grim Reaper. Being like, you're going to die.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck.
And you're going to leave back
Scrooge? It wasn't Scrooge. No. Is it Scrooge? No.
Scrooge is the guy that gets visited. Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yeah. There's the ghost that shows up and is like, hey, your night's about to get fucked up.
And that was his old partner.
Bob Cratchit and Marley.
His partner comes back and goes, hey, you've been a real dick. And you're going to get visited tonight by 3 ghosts. And he goes, what are you talking about? And, you know, I feel like he kind of blows it off. And then he gets past, present, and future.
Yeah.
And the Ghost of Christmas Present, I feel like, takes him over to, like, Bob Cratchit's house. And he sees his family. And he sees him, like, I don't know. It's about changing your tune kind of a thing. Do you feel like you would undergo a transfer? Because you're not a bad guy like Scrooge was.
I don't think. I could be a dick. But I feel like when I'm a dick is when I'm trying. If I'm a dick to somebody, you know, the way I see it, I feel like whenever I leave a room, if I'm hanging out with Hunter and I leave a room and somebody that's new to the group goes, man, that guy's a dick. Hunter goes, if he's mean to you, it means he likes you.
That is accurate.
Fair. Fair.
And I feel like maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I shouldn't be mean to show I like somebody.
I don't think you're mean.
I don't feel like I'm mean. I just like busting balls. I think
wrong
it's fun
with
to pick on people.
To the level that you do it at, I don't think so. Like there's a point where like men communicate like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like guys don't meet each other and go, "Hey, I really like your shirt." You know, just go, "Hey, what's up there?" We fucking
don't say it.
Hey, fucking slapjack. What are you doing there? You know, like
don't say it.
But I'm just saying, men bust balls affectionately.
Yeah.
There's 2 sides to this whole thing. Like one of them is if you have toxic masculinity, which we've talked about before, and you are afraid of your emotions. Like if you can't say I love you, if you're afraid to hug a dude,
I'll hug you motherfuckers
I know.
all day.
I will too. You got to work on that. That shit's not okay. But once you're comfortable with your sexuality and your masculinity or whatever like that, it's okay to be a guy. Like not all masculinity is toxic. Some masculinity is useful. And there's a certain thing. I saw a thing recently where a guy was talking about, look, in order to be happy, if you're a guy, in order to be happy, you have to have a certain things in your life. And it was kind of cool. Like, so one of them was like, you've got to have something that you're working towards, like a project. You've got to have some kind of physical activity. Like, you've got to get some kind of exercise somewhere, something, or you're just going to devolve. And then you've also got to have like band of brothers. You've got to have friends that aren't your, it can't just be your girlfriend or your wife. You've got to have friends that you can be a guy around. You know, like you have to have that, or you kind of forget how to be that way. And what's cool, they said you get mega psychological bonus points if you can combine any of those things. If you like having a band with your friends or having a podcast with your friends or something. Like, anyway, the more I listened to it, I felt real lucky. I was like, shit, I have some really cool projects with guys that I'm really good friends with. Like, we get together and we do work, and it checks off a whole bunch of things on the stuff guys need list.
Yeah.
The band of brothers, the working on projects, like, you know, I mean, we're sitting here not doing a whole lot, but in the band, we move around a little bit. But
a little bit.
No, it just kind of devolved into this, like...
I don't think you're a dick. I think you're Casey and everybody likes you. You know?
I don't think everybody likes me.
I don't know. I think they do.
But no, it just kind of devolved to this thing where...
And the ones that don't can go fuck themselves. Hey, I said it.
It's the situation, I guess, with the coronavirus thing, people being locked in their house, and everyone's like, after this is all over with the new normal, this is a perfect time to, like, change yourself and, like, reflect and do all this stuff because you have this pause, basically. There's been this 2-month pause. And now's the perfect time to shake things up. You want to start working out more, you know, after this is over, start working out more, get outside more. Which, by the way, I'm so fucking tired of inside.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of inside that once this is over with, I'm going to
tiptoeing through the tulips.
Yeah, I'm going to be like climbing in trees like a fucking squirrel.
Like a monkey. Like a bearded monkey.
I think
that's an
interesting
that's not a bad word, sorry.
Conceit, but that sounds more like kind of like it speaks more not to the who you are or people in general, but society as a whole, and it being like this fair weather snowflake nuclear fallout brigade of stupid shit now, the culture war, if you will, all that stuff. Like, if you feel, not that you shouldn't change yourself, you should if you recognize anything, but like, instead of going, you have all this time to yourself, everyone should take a look and see what they can change about themselves. Why not, if you have your shit together, take a look at yourself and go, now I have all this time, like the stuff you were saying about doing. I'm already working out now, and it's at home, and I was like, I'm not doing enough stuff to be tired, so I don't have an excuse. Let's get going. So I have that regularly now. Yeah. You could just the band stuff, you know, I put together a music video for us and all that. So
coming soon,
just do stuff.
Yeah.
You know, which I know is what you were wanting to do.
And yes, I will say yes and no. Like, quarantine or not, during the lockdown or not, I think it's important to be motivated, but not necessarily feel pressured. Like, if you've had a long day, and you come home, excuse me, if you've had a long day and you come home and you're tired and you just want to like chill, that's okay. You know what I mean? You don't have to just always be like I went through that. I went through this extreme guilt over just like how lazy I got during this quarantine. But a lot of it though, there was so much stress about like nobody knew what the virus was going to do. There's all this perceived danger. And like, you come home and once you get in the house and you get your clothes off and you feel clean, finally, you're just like, ooh, just dealing with 12 hours of stress and possible danger, and you don't know. Like, the last couple of months have been fucked up. We're not going to talk about
on your mental health.
Yeah, it's okay to not feel like you have to just like do a bunch of shit, but at the same time, that only gets you so far. And I agree with what you're saying, and I did the same thing. I found it was a little too easy for me to sit and play games on my phone, you know?
So is this part of the dark topic you wanted to bring up?
That's part of it. Another part of it is like, as the deeper I had the shower thought about it, the more like, I mean, I sat there in the shower for like an hour and a half, because I was shaving my head too. And then I just found myself sitting there just pondering and not doing anything but sitting in hot water, scolding my skin, trying to clean off
That's awesome.
the coronavirus. But no, you just have that instance of like going and seeing other people's lives and what it would be like if you weren't around, or if like you changed and what have you. And then you start thinking, who would be affected? Like, who would be happier off if I just like went away for a while?
Well, I've definitely had that thought about like, what if you had like an out of body experience at your own funeral? If you were hovering above the crowd at your funeral, like, who would actually be sad and who
wouldn't
wouldn't?
On their phone, just being like, thank God.
Fucking finally this guy, you know? I don't know. That's a lot. I don't think, honestly, my honest opinion, I don't think you would be that disappointed. I think you probably, if you had a Christmas Carol experience, I think the Christmas past would probably show up and go, "What's up? You've done a lot of good shit. You had a good time. You've inspired a lot of people. Made a whole ton of people have fun."
What about not existing though? Not just like disappearing, but just not existing.
I don't know.
Hard to compute because you're actually pretty interwoven in both of our lives.
Yeah.
So
I can honestly say I couldn't imagine you not existing. I don't know where I would be right now if you didn't exist.
I feel like now this seems like I'm fishing for compliments, which is not the case when I started talking about this.
Just fucking relax, Jesus. I don't know. That's weird. It's weird to think how any the world would be if none of us existed. You know, like it's
it'd be a little less diabetic.
Well.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Factoid.
He's not wrong, but why did you have to say it? We're here now.
No, I think honestly, this all kind of came up because I've started considering going to talk to somebody, which everyone says is people who have gone to talk to like a therapist. Well, and this came up because when all this quarantine stuff broke out, my germophobia went through the fucking roof to the point where I was like peeling skin off my hand, washing it so much. I was disinfecting. I was soaking money in bleach kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was Lysol spraying my clothes when I got home and then put them in the dirty clothes. Like I have bleach stains all over my clothes at home. And I finally got to the point where I was like, maybe I have a problem. Maybe I need to go to talk to somebody about the fact that I am a little too afraid of being dirty.
I will say this, and I can't diagnose that in you or anything, but it's important to work your shit out. And that may mean talking to somebody. It may mean finding some kind of a lightning rod somewhere. Maybe there's somebody that's just says things that resonate with you. I've been watching a series of videos. I haven't been able to go see my therapist since this whole thing started, and I'm fine. I mean, we text, and she'll go, I'm not going to open the office yet. Do you need to do a telephone thing? And I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for that, but I'm okay. I'm doing okay, you know. But I've kind of been supplementing that by watching this series of YouTube videos. And I would actually recommend these to everybody, even people that aren't musically inclined. But like one of my biggest heroes, and anybody that's listened to this that's a musician will probably know who Steve Vai is. Most of the time when people go back and they go, oh my God, those shredder guitar players, he's the guy they're talking about. He invented the 7-string guitar that's the staple of all modern metal. Anyway, Steve Vai, and he's like 60 now. But Steve Vai's always been this extremely deep, heady guy. Like he does a lot of meditation. He would go to the Middle East a couple times a year just to straighten his karma out. Like he's always been like a soul searcher kind of a guy, not just a hot shot. And I've always been extremely inspired by him, even more than his music, by just the things he says and like his attitude on life. And he's been a huge inspiration to me. He's been he's like a guru, you know. Anyway, that's VAI. Most people I feel like know who he's won Grammys and he's performed on the
Joe Rogan, wasn't he?
I don't know if Vai's ever been on Rogan, but. Anyway, he started live streaming on Facebook twice a week, and he does 2 sessions. The first one is Tuesday afternoon, and this is all on YouTube also. But the shows he does on Tuesday, I'll try to speed this up. Tuesday is called Alien Guitar Secrets, and it's just all about music. Sometimes he talks about the business, sometimes he actually picks the guitar up and shows things, sometimes whatever.
Yeah.
It's more music centric because he's got a lot of people that just want to hear about the music. And he's got a real impressive career. But on Thursdays, he's been doing this series where it's called Under It All. And it's not about the music. It's more about spirituality or psychology or just stuff. It's real fucking deep. And he gets into some very deep kind of stuff. But he's real big on the fighting the ego and how much the ego destroys us and what it all does to us, and like the lies you tell yourself in your head kind of becomes your narrative. And I've just picked up a lot of things, and there's no way I could even get into it on this podcast. But those Thursday sessions, I think there's about 7 of them now, and I listen to them like every morning while I'm brushing my teeth and get ready for work. You know, I can only listen to it for so long, and then I got to put music on. But like when I'm doing housework, I have them playing. When I have my coffee, I have them playing. And it just, I'm a huge fan of the guy and the way he thinks, and he's so kind. And dude, one of the episodes, he's like taking emails. He's opening emails and just reading them live. And one of them is a kid that's contemplating suicide. And he fucking talks the kid off the ledge in the episode, like talking about like how we impose most of our own suffering on ourselves. Like we do all that shit to ourselves, and you can literally give up all your suffering. You can just let it go, but you got to get out of the way of yourself. And like, there's just a lot of big concepts. It's the kind of stuff where you listen to it and you think about it all day.
Yeah.
But one of the things is he says, listen, everybody listen to this. Well, you may be ready to hear this or you may not be. But the truth is, you are exactly where you're supposed to be right now. Whatever you think was supposed to happen or didn't happen, or this person or that person, or why did they leave, or why haven't they come along yet, or why didn't I get that job? Or he goes, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. The universe does not make mistakes. It never has. And you've got to stop telling yourself that you're a mistake or your life's a mistake or it's big stuff like that. And he goes, and then you've got to like really ask yourself, how do I feel right now? Because everything you do is based on how you feel right now. And he gets into this whole, one of the most recent ones, I know I'm going on. One of the most recent ones, he was talking about how people, when they are unhappy with other people, like when they go, what, you should have known better. Why'd you do that? Like, why'd you borrow my car and wreck it into a telephone pole or something? Like, you should have known better. And he goes, the thing is, people don't know better. Everything somebody does, even when it's irresponsible, is based on what they feel like they have to do right then, either emotionally or whatever. Even your best judgment doesn't. Like, you go, I know I shouldn't. Everybody knows they shouldn't eat that whole bag of potato chips, but you feel like,
I can't help it.
I got to have this
That's
right
the
now.
emotionally.
I do
it's
that.
going to make me feel good.
Yeah, I've got to do this. I know it's wrong, but I have to have this right now. I'm going to freak out if I don't have this. That's the same way people feel when they have a cigarette that they're trying to quit, or, you know what I mean? Like, you justify those things, but we do all that stuff based on how we feel right now. Yeah. And he does a lot of talking about exploring why you feel the way you do, and if how much of that is the ego telling you to be afraid of, you know what I mean? And one of the big things he gets into, because he's been a very criticized guitar player, because he's really flashy. Mm-hmm. He's extremely gifted, and a lot of people just look at it and go, man, fuck that guy. He plays a bunch of fancy shit. And he gets a lot of criticism. And he talks about how people come up to him and they go, you know, I really don't like your guitar playing. And he laughs and he goes, well, I guess I'll try harder. You know, like he goes, I've thought about this. And he goes, you've got to get to that point where nobody else's opinion can hurt your feelings. Mm-hmm. Like, it's okay for them not to like something that you like. And like, if they make fun of your shirt or something, you go, okay. And the fact that they're allowed their opinion also means you're allowed your opinion. Mm-hmm. You go, well, I like it. So I don't know what you think is cool, but I think this is cool. Fuck you. Yeah. Or, hey, great, dude. But it's about not being affected by fears and shit. Like, anyway, it's called Under It All. It's Steve Vai. That's VAI.
It's on Facebook.
YouTube. He streams on Facebook, but it immediately gets. I watch it on YouTube.
Okay.
Because I usually watch it the day after. If you want to watch it live, which is kind of fun because you never know what kind of a question he's going to get. He's a good guy. And if you've never seen somebody that's just beyond talented on the guitar, watch Steve Vai. Like, you know, there's a real famous video of a clip he does called Tender Surrender that a lot of people go back to. And it's just him and a guitar with like maybe a drummer and a bass player. It's real stripped down. And he's going from like real hairy guitars to real clean guitars. And he's doing it just by changing his volume knob in between. It is stunning. A lot of people that there's a lot of reaction videos to it on YouTube where people like reaction to Steve Vai's Tender Surrender. And everybody just goes, holy shit. I didn't think it was possible to play the guitar that good. You know. So anyway, rant over. But things like that can kind of help you. I would maybe recommend watch a couple of those. See if you take anything. You may take issue with it. In fact, I've heard him say a couple things where I go, I don't know about that, Steve. Like maybe that's not really for me. But he's also really big on you don't have to believe any of this. Just you got to find what works for you. But he's explaining a lot of that stuff. Yeah. So it's pretty cool and it's free and it's super fucking deep and it's definitely worth a watch. Even just like on the way to the store or something. Yeah. You know?
Well, and there's a YouTube video I watch every now and then. I think it's a poem that a girl made. She wrote this poem and then made a video about it. And it's called like How to Be Alone. And it's just like this whole thing about, you know, go take yourself out to dinner. Leave your phone at home, go out to dinner. And he was like, and she goes, soon you'll be eating by yourself and you'll feel alone, but then you'll start noticing that other people in groups are watching you because they're bummed out that they're not by themselves.
That they have to plug in somewhere.
Yeah. I've referred to that. You know, I've seen that video and it's a really good one. And I've actually told other people, like people go that are sad after a breakup and stuff. And I've I've counseled other people like, hey man, excuse me, like, dude, if I was single right now, like I would go out, I'd go out by myself. I'd go do all kinds of stuff. I would really enjoy that freedom. And of course, I don't. You know what I mean?
Me
like,
neither.
It's one of those where you go, dude, that would be awesome. Like when you're sometimes in a relationship and you feel like, oh, it'd be nice to just like not have to answer to somebody, you know, and you see your friend is single and you go, dude, I'd go out to the bar by myself. I'd just meet people.
Yeah. You're like, oh my God, I'm dating this girl and she loves Affleck and I just can't stand it.
Full circle. But I think it is true. It's just easy to become apathetic, and you got to, I don't know, more than anything I'm discovering through those Steve I videos and a lot, you've got to manage yourself. Mm-hmm. That's a big one. You kind of got to figure out, be real honest with yourself. You see that in a lot of 12-step programs where they say you got to take a fearless moral inventory. You got to look yourself in the mirror and really go, all right, look, what am I really doing here? You know, am I making excuses or blah, blah, blah. And it's a lot of shit like that. To get through life, you've got to do a lot of shit like that. You know, I think therapy probably leads you to a lot of those things. You know, I'm not saying these Steve I videos are a replacement for therapy, but they can't hurt.
So Machine Gun Kelly came out with a new song.
Bloody Valentine.
Yeah.
I'm all
So
in.
good.
I'm all in.
Fox.
I'm all in. I'm all in. He's playing guitar. He's singing. Not great, but pretty good. And it's fast and it rocks. And I think he rocks. I see him in the video playing, jamming. I believe him. I'm in. I'm all in on it.
I would argue his singing is great. It's not technically
Well, I mean,
anything, but
you're going to get a lot of people like, oh, this friggin' rapper's trying to sing now. And he doesn't have like,
that's because people are jealous of the fact that he's able to do that.
I buy it.
And he didn't come up with the diss track Elvis Pusley. So poor Nick Cannon.
Oh my God. I want to say this. I want to leave you guys with one thing here. I've discovered a band last night, and some people may have already seen me posting about this, and but they're called Fake Names. It's on Spotify. It's everywhere.
I saw that.
So
That's all you share it.
the singer in Fake Names is the singer from a really, really super cult, really, and one of mine and Dylan's biggest inspiration from Dylan from Burn the City, a band called The Refused. So it's their singer, and then it's the guitarist from Bad Religion, who also used to be the bass player from Minor Threat like a million years ago, who inspired Dave Grohl and everybody, you know, in DC punk scene, DC hardcore. But and then a bunch of his just like childhood friends got together, made a little band. It's not super aggressive punk. It's more indie kind of sounding. It's great. I absolutely adore it. It's just fun. It sounds like good time music you'd hear in a record store or something. But it's called Fake Names.
Something you'd hear on High Fidelity.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
But real stripped down. It's just real basic with great hooks and cool songwriting. And it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's got this vibe. I like it anyway. Called Fake Names. Check it out. There's a song called Driver, and there's another song. If you wanted. There's a song called Darkest Days and a song called Driver. I'd maybe start with those two.
I will say, you mentioned right before we quit, you mentioned something when you came in here earlier about noticing my Instagram page, how I've been doing the 30-day challenge.
Yes.
Have you noticed how just broad stroked my music taste is?
Oh, it's one of the things I like best about it. I marvel at it every time. I go, Casey's so fucking diverse.
It's insane because I wrote down I picked all the songs picked, so I didn't have to sit there for 30 minutes going, oh, which song?
Oh, that's fucking smart. That's really smart.
And some of them have changed over the time.
Sure.
Like the Darkness song, it wasn't the Darkness at first, but now it is.
Okay.
I Believe in a Thing Called Love. But as I was writing out the list, I went, this is what I mean. This is what I mean when people go, what's your favorite kind of music? I go, I really listen to a lot of everything.
Can't
and they
say.
go, oh, that's such a bullshit answer,
Yeah.
like Get Out answer. I'm like, no, but really, if you open up my CD case, you'd be like, what is wrong with your brain that you have to listen to Zach Brown Band and then Mumford & Sons and then Run the Jewels and then all of a sudden you end up at fucking Alt J. And
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know.
Everything that's right with your brain is
I
the
don't
answer.
know.
That's
I have
been-
ADD when it comes to music.
back in the day when me and high school friends were getting into music and facing those type of questions for the first time, like, well, wait, is it cool to like? I still like Run DMC from when I was a kid. Is it cool to like that, but also to be into Slayer? Or am I like, how do you reconcile it? Which camp do I belong in? And then we all realized you don't have to be in any camp. And I remember the first time I read somebody, it might have been Steve I even in an article or something. He goes saying, somebody goes, man, it's all the same 7 notes. And I just was like, fuck yeah, dude. I'm not going to, I guess that's that tribalism where you want to belong to something.
Yeah.
And go, I you want to use a certain type of music as like your, I don't know, to stand in front of you because you can't stand for yourself, and you go, I'm into this, and you know it.
I just rediscovered Kings of Leon, and I'm loving it. Like that's all I'm listening to my Spotify right now.
Man, I don't fucking trust people who claim to like music, but then they hate certain types of music. Now I understand not liking an artist. Like there's some artists where I just go, that doesn't do much for me.
Yeah.
But to write off an entire genre of music, like there's nothing interesting in the entire genre. I feel like if you really are a fan of music, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Something in there is going to sound like something that you like. Like if you, again, like we're probably going to have to edit this out. It's getting so long, but the things that make us like music are certain things about the music. It's not just the album cover, and like there's certain things that happen in the music that make you feel good, and those things can happen in other styles of music too, like a chord change or a little cadence, or you know, it's not just in one style of music. I think true music fans are like you, and they find the things.
I hate live music. Let me reiterate, because I've gotten a lot of shit for that, especially from Brandon.
Damn right.
I don't hate live music. I hate certain buildings and their acoustics.
Sure.
I have to see a live, like if I see a live show somewhere and they have good acoustics, I'll go back there for another live show. But if I go there and it's just like banging metal against my face.
Oh, I get it. I can think of a couple places in town that just sound like you're in an airplane hangar with somebody beating on a steel drum. No, I think the reason we're not sensitive to that is because from being in bands, you have to come to grips with that. Gig one.
Yeah, you get used to it.
Every building you play in sounds like trash. That's why we spend so much money on our gear. That's why we spend so much time like tuning and getting the sounds all right. That's why I spend so much time.
You're combating the space,
soldering and fucking with tones and making guitar cables, is because I know when it gets out in the real world, it's going to sound like that.
Yeah.
So you've got to fight it every possible way. But
well, it's like when I was shooting the video with you guys, I'd wear earplugs or I wore those soundproof headphones, and even then, like Brandon just going ape shit on the drums, I'm just like wincing at like every hit, and I'm like, what is wrong with me? I'm so sensitive.
Nothing at all. Again,
it's true.
Spencer's right. We're just desensitized to it. There's the first few times you walk into a practice.
Like every time he hits the cymbals, I have to wince my eyes like someone's about to like.
A lot of smart people wear earplugs to live shows. Like Eric Stamm carries a pair of earplugs with him everywhere. I used to make fun of him for it, which was the stupidest thing because it protects your hearing, and if you get the right earplugs, like the Hi-Fi Heroes or whatever, or up or fancier.
Yeah.
It actually makes things sound better. I've actually gone to concerts that sounded so bad, I would I put my fingers over my ears to make it sound right. And people probably thought, what's it too loud? I'm like, no, it's not too fucking loud. It just sounds like shit unless I do this.
Yeah. It'd be nice to be able to go to a show, even an acoustic one, like at Open Chord, and walk out without my ears ringing. So.
Oh, I mean, Spencer took me to my first Butch Walker show, and I'm pretty sure, I don't think I was drunk, I'm pretty sure I sang every song note for note the entire time.
Okay.
Great. Exit In had great acoustics.
I can't wait to do that again.
He fucking rocked it out, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And then I go to certain places around town, and they play like heavy metal, and I'm just like, not doing it for me. In fact, I want to be as far away from this place as possible. This is awful.
It's hard to make stuff like that sound good.
I was going to say another metalheads would probably get upset, but we have a good
really
audience.
Good bands. Like if you listen to their stuff not live, it's great.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, and that's another.
It's a huge noise gate problem.
But that's another thing too, is that it separates the men from the boys. Like
I am a boy.
No. I'm talking about the artist.
Oh, sorry.
When you hear a band that only sounds good on Spotify but not live, somebody's faking it somewhere. Mm-hmm. Somebody's not playing that or not singing that. When you see a band live that sounds just as good as they do on recorded music, then that's a great band. Like you see Butch live, it always sounds great.
Man, if you can match Cigarette Lighter Love Song,
yeah, it's perfect. Yeah.
It's just a piano, but
that was all it has to be.
Chills.
Yeah. Amen. Well, folks, thanks for being here.
This one ran a little long.
You guys are pretty smart.
Oh, Batfleck sucks. Peace.
Batfleck forever. I'll let you guys decide.